Hello and welcome to another Sonargraph tutorial video. Today I want to show you our new improved interactive cycle view that can help you to break up complex cycle groups with relative ease. As you probably know, the major problem why so many systems end up as a big ball of mud are ever-growing cyclic dependencies. Here, for example, we open an open source project called Gradle, you're probably familiar with, a very nice build tool. But if we look at the structure box in the Sonargraph dashboard, we can see that we have a lot of entangled code. Almost 80% of the code base is entangled. The red bar stands for cycle group with 6 or more elements. The yellow bar are smaller cycle groups from 2 to 5 elements. Now, as you can also see, Gradle has a lot of different modules. So the first thing we're probably going to do is find out which module is the most problematic and try to work on this one. To do that, first I'm going to check one simple metric called maintainability level. That's between 0 and 100%. Here for Gradle it's slightly above 50%, so that's barely good. Everything under 50% is already bad, but you have to understand that this metric is calculated as a weighted average of all the modules in the system. Let's find out which is our problem module. For that we go to the metrics view, click on the module level, and then again look at maintainability level. Now we get a sorted list of all the 96 modules of Gradle, and on the very bottom is our problem module, dependency management. That has a worst value of maintainability level by a wide margin. Now it would be nice to know if this is a large or a small module, so we can add a second metric by just using a control click on Windows or Linux or a command click on a Mac. Adding this metric here, unfortunately, like it often is, dependency management is also the largest module in Gradle. Now to find out what's going on, we can look at the cycle groups view. And as you can see, we have a lot of different cycle groups. Component cycles in that case would be cycles between components. In Java, a component is a single Java file, and in C++ that would be a combination of source files and header files. And we see the second largest cycle group is in our problem module. Also when it comes to package cycles, down here, again, second largest package cycle group is in dependency management. Usually what I like to start with the component cycles, because chances are if I can break up those component cycles, it will also somehow affect the package cycles and hopefully make them better. Now let's look at that particular cycle here. So that's a visualization of the 69 Java files forming one big cycles. The different colors stand for the direct structural parent. In that case, it would be the package. And here, if I click on the little palette, I get a translation which color stands for which package. We have 17 different packages in this cycle involved, so it's not only a Java file cycle, but it's also a package cycle. Ideally, in those cycle views, we only want to see one color. That's a lot better than seeing so many different colors. But there's some good news here, because we can actually look at this dependency structure here and see that this graph is basically split into two halves, the bottom left and the top right. And the only way, if you look a little closer, to come from the top right to the bottom left would be by following this chain of links down here. Now, if we could cut that particular link, and I like to cut between colors when I do simulated dependency cutting, because it means I cut a dependency between two different packages, then this cycle will fall apart into two different cycle groups. I can show you by simulating that refactoring. So that will create a refactoring task. I can give it to my friend Peter by the description if I want to, and this dependency will disappear. And now this view will be recalculated. We see that this big cycle group of 69 elements was basically split into one with 20 elements, one with 46 elements, and 3 elements are not cyclic anymore. So that's already a large improvement. Now let's see how we can move on from here. So we have now two cycle groups, and this one, I don't see any obvious solution, but sometimes it helps to look at the cycle group in our exploration view. So the exploration view paints a different picture of that cycle. So here we're using those arcs. The arcs are going counterclockwise, means the arcs on the left side of those J symbols go top down, on the right side they go bottom up. And we always try to sort these elements so that we have as few as possible dependencies going up on the right side. But here we have a low-hanging fruit. If I cut this dependency, which is only one place in the code, a dependency going from resolved artifact set to transformation node, then at least those 4 elements will fall out of the cycle, potentially more, we will see. So let's simulate that, let's cut that particular dependency. Give it again to Peter. Wow, that was a big improvement. So instead of 20 cyclic nodes, we only have 3 cyclic nodes left. Let's see how that affected our cycle group. You can see a completely different picture. We had another box for this larger cycle group up here. They're not cyclic anymore, so they're basically cycle free, but we have that little 3-element cycle up here on the top, and we still have a 46-element cycle group down here. Let's see what we can do to improve that situation. I have to look a little more intensely. Maybe, just maybe, if we cut this one here, some elements on the top will fall out here. So let's cut this particular dependency. Wow, and we got a further improvement. So instead of 46 elements, we only have 41 elements left. And the number of colors here is also reduced, which is great because it means we have fewer packages involved in that particular cycle. Now let's see if we can see something better in the exploration view here. So let's show this cycle group in the exploration view. There's no low-hanging fruit here, but maybe if we change the display mode to mixed instead of just having no particular display mode where we just display all the elements in the cycle flatly, I want to see the package structure too. And now I can see some interesting things. For example, I could basically, by cutting this one here, again a number of elements will fall out of the cycle. So I'm cutting this outgoing dependency here. And if I go back to my cycle view, we only have 37 elements left and fewer colors than before. Now let's recalculate what we just did. We had a cycle group of 69 elements, and now we have one with 3, one with 37, and that's it. Everything else is cycle free. By the way, you can collapse those cycles in the view by just clicking on those little plus signs. They will be condensed into a single node. If I click on plus again, they will be expanded again. So if I go back to my cycle groups list, I see that in my dependency management module, I have one group of 37 elements, another one of 11 elements that was there before, and then probably the small group is way on the bottom now with the 3 or 4 elements. So that's a huge improvement with very few refactorings. Probably by now we would all have forgotten where we need to cut, but Sonargraph kept the list for us. So those were the 4 cuts that we made. Totally, it's just 8 lines of code that need to be changed. And if I click on one of those cuts here, I can see the exact dependencies that need to be cut. Another double click brings me to the code line that needs to be changed. That's it for this little demonstration video. I hope you found that video interesting and enlightening. And if you want to try that on your own software system, just get a free evaluation license of Sonargraph and go from there. Thank you very much for listening. Now I wish you have a great and peaceful time.